Alright, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for A Place Further Than the Universe, Episode 5. Okay. Alright, so Kimari has her test that she needs to do.
Yes.
The girls are doing their training, camping bit to make sure that they're ready for Antarctica
that can
light,
happen.
essentially.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's a lot of tests that Kimari needs to pass.
Yeah, also, they had their fun kind of bonding moment as a group, you know, camping out together, waking up nice and early, seeing the sunrise together. Yep. And we have the stern lady that went with Shirase's mother in the previous bit. And I like how you were calling out the kind of the connection that the Shirase's mother and this lady had as basically having an older group of 4.
Right.
That kind of mirrors the current group of 4 girls that are going to be going to Antarctica.
Possibly.
Well, I just like that as a thematic thing because it's kind of a history repeating itself, but also kind of a, like, this is fated to happen. Like, it was meant to be.
And because it is.
And it definitely is. But I like that the sterner lady, I don't really think we know her name yet, but she has a softer side.
Yes.
She's not just a hard ass, essentially. She does care a lot about having this whole thing go well, but making sure that they're all ready means she has to care at least somewhat about them.
Well, and the question is how much of the hard ass is perceived by Shirase because of the, you know,
past connection with the mother.
And 2, the past connection with the mother who didn't come back.
Right.
So, you know, kind of makes sense.
Yeah. But given we've got maybe a couple more things that need to be squared away, we are probably almost on the way to starting the trip towards Antarctica.
Ooh, and best friend, that little end credits bit.
Yeah, that's true. If we get any more kind of things with her of being like, I'm sorry, I doubted you, or I regret
I was going.
I regret that I'm not going
right
with you, and stuff like that. That's just gonna be oh boy,
it's gonna be good.
All right, guys. So without further ado, let's get into this. Oh, and the friend's going to kind of see them being like, wow, this is actually happening. I'm going. Oh, yes,
fist bump, yeah.
Friend fist bump. Oh, I love it. Oh.
This again.
もたもたしているからだよ。だって偉いね、めぐみちゃん。お姉ちゃんになったような気がした。マリちゃん。
Wow, from her perspective.
明日遊んでもいいよ。こちらオーストスラリア。じゃなくて、まずジャンプして。着地じゃなくて着地してジャンプ。着地って。白瀬さん落ち着いて。どうしよう、オーストラリアに着地できない。そんなの編集で何ともなりますから。それより滑舌です。滑舌やってます？アメンボ赤いな愛ゆえに。微妙に違ってますけどもういいです。どうしてアメンボが赤いの？そこに自分差し挟まないでください。荷物終わりました？まだ結構悩むよな。そう？船に持ち込めるのは自分の体重と合わせて100キロまででしょ？それだけあれば十分でしょう。とはいえ3ヶ月以上の滞在だろ？そうそう、着替え90万以上でしょ？洗濯しろよ。あ、そっか。
Do laundry occasionally. Oh, right, yeah.
向こうに着いたら普通に生活していくわけだし。お前、もしや全然手つけてないだろう。でも体重と合わせて100キロまで大丈夫なんでしょ？私で52。
They're all gonna be discussing their weight and stuff.
58キロまで荷物持てるんだよ。楽勝だよ、楽勝。サバ読みは重罪よ。荷物58ってことは体重42かよ。どうでもやめてあげて。こんな感じかな。少な。あと白瀬さんとかに聞いたよ。絶対必要なものとかあるはずだから。
Gotcha.
でも本当に足りるかな。そのパンフレットにも何を持ってこいとか書いてあるわけじゃないし、そりゃ大人の世界だもん。自己責任だよ。
Right.
自己責任か。難しいな。
Adulting is hard. Yep. I am right there with you, Kimari.
これ。
You will not need that.
なんだ？ほら、私がなくしてたと思ってためぐちゃんのゲーム。
She's giving it to her.
あったな、そんなこと。 前それ好きだったよな。だって私が唯一めぐっちゃんに勝ったゲームだもん。そうだっけ。全然相手にならないからめぐっちゃんが無期限で貸してくれるって言ってさ、それでなくしたのか。
いや
最終的にはでも
Eventually
その前に言ってたんだよね。南極はうまくリポートできたのか。南極？ああ、しらせちゃん。しらせちゃんの出番はまだだから。あいつも変わってるよな。だよね。ほんと気が強いんだか弱いんだかよくわからないってしらせちゃんとも話してて。ああ、バイトの子だっけ。でもリポートはゆずきちゃんが完璧にやってくれたから。北海道の子だっけ。まあ無理するなよ。失敗したらそれだけ後悔が大きいから。
Oh, yeah. Wow, that wasn't at all symbolic.
ああ、悪い。
Yeah. Wow. So this is how you passive aggressively kind of act out in that way. Wow.
Old running shoes?
I think so.
Yes! Yes!
She deleted them from her contacts list! Yes!
Yeah!
Yes! That's awesome! Oh!
Okay.
Go, Yuzuki, go!
行ってきます。じゃあ優勝よろしくね。持ってこれるかな。あったかいものの写真送るね。ありがとう。南極って鼻水凍るの？
Wow! Oh, man!
Yeah!
なんか転校してくみたいだったよね。
They might get to talk here.
寂しい？
No.
どんな気持ちになるんだろうって思ってた。
But she is.
Yep.
まあ、あんまりそういうところは見せない方がいいかもな。調子に乗ってるって思ってるやつもたくさんいるみたいだし。
Wow, a lot of people.
That is so passive aggressive.
Oh my
そう
god.
だけど。
Oh, they're leaving tomorrow.
でも結構ひどいこと言われているからさ。
Really?
そうなの？だから調子に乗ってるって思われてるんだよ。
No, they
調
don't.
子になんか。お前さ、何？本当にこのまま行って大丈夫か？帰ってきたらもっとひどいことになって。
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Hinata would call such bullcrap on this.
Oh, she totally would.
That's why she's gonna shut up when this comes up.
キマリとバイトが一緒の三宅ひなたっす。どうも。どうも。じゃあ行くな。
Yep. No, stay here. Yeah, talk about that. Yeah.
そんなこと言ってるのは。いや、私も聞いただけだから。
Really?
絶対犯人見つける。
Oh, Sometimes people are just mean. Whoa, okay, yes.
もちろん。
From Hinata,
い
yep.
るのは一人じゃないだろ。
Oh, guess who's gonna feel super guilty about all this? Oh my gosh. So she gets to see them together.
こういう感じなんだね。
Oh man. Wow.
まあ、わからなく
Oh my
よし、
gosh.
もう一本言っとけ。私行ったことない。
嘘。
じゃあ行こうよ。いや、いい。恥ずかしいのみんなできるの？いいんだよ、大声出せれば。壮行会だ、壮行会。だよね。あ、まあ、めぐっちゃんも行くよ。え？
Yep. Yes!
やだ。お前な。高橋めぐっちゃん。お、マイフレンドめぐっちゃん。
Oh my gosh. Is it twitching? Yeah. Oh man. The madness of Shiraz.
一緒じゃなくてよかった。私いつももたもたしてめぐっちゃんに面倒見てもらって、どうしようってくっついて回って。そうだったか。そうだよ。それが嫌で変えたいってずっと思ってたんだと思う。めぐっちゃんにくっついてるんじゃなくて、ダメだなじゃなくて、だから頑張ってくる。
She's like hesitating so much she had to grab it.
Yeah.
Man.
All right.
おお、何これすごい。
遅いぞ。
Oh.
一応ね。
Cool. Oh.
それだけじゃないよ。
No, wait! There's more! Egg Paradise! Oh. She's gonna say, come eat with me. Yes!
Yeah.
Yes!
Good call.
Come on, don't you dare say no. Don't you dare say no. They skipped it, didn't they?
いや。
行くのか。
朝ごはんは東京で食べるのね。
Oh, sister! Oh.
なんで起こしてくれないの？だって朝早いし。
She's like, you weren't gonna leave without me. Saying goodbye. Oh.
心配しないでいいように。
Oh, the dad!
Oh yeah, I was gonna say. And the wife holds out the
Yeah.
cloth to him.
Oh.
めぐちゃん。悪い出発の朝に。
Oh
どうしたの？
my gosh.
絶交しに来た。え？絶交だって言ったんだ。
The hell?
南極と新宿まで行ったってなんで噂になったんだと思う？
Really?
お前誰かに話したか？最初に南極に会った時になんで100万円持ってるって上級生が知ってた。母親がなんで南極行くってお前が言うより先に知ってた。なんで？
But she's not doing it because
私以外にないだろ。
she's not doing it because she hates her. She's doing it because she hates herself for doing all this.
そうなるんだろうなって。なんで知らねえよ。
Yeah. Yeah.
最初にお前が南極に行くって言った時なんでこんなに腹が立つんだって思った。
Yeah.
昔から決まりが何かするときは私に絶対相談してたのにって。嘘。待って、ダメなのは決まりじゃない。私だ。だからずっと忘れ。めぐちゃん。一緒に行こう。どこに？バカ言うなよ。やっと一歩踏み出そうとしてるんだぞ。お前のいない世界に。
Yeah.
絶好向こう。
Breakup rejected.
すべてが動き出す。
And then the positive.
Right.
すべてが動き出す。
Whoa.
Wow. That.
Oh man.
Ooh.
So having the best friend essentially be the one that was essentially the most antagonistic towards this
Right.
whole dream is very realistic. I really got to give props to this show for not having any kind of bully character. Like,
Sure,
if you
yeah.
think about how easy it would have been to have a character that's
Exactly.
just there to be like,
Yeah.
who do you think you are?
Have the mean girls from that were at the bike. Yeah, just be main characters. It's like no. It can't be betrayal if you don't care about them. If
Right.
you don't trust them.
And also, you don't really care at all about the bully characters generally anyway.
Right.
So, in this case, having Megu-chan be
Yep.
someone that is angry and doesn't know why, because she's essentially losing the one person that's been her whole world.
Right.
And that person is then shifting to another path, if you will,
Right.
that doesn't involve her.
Yep.
She
Yep.
gets a little bit kind of afraid.
Oh,
And
yeah.
people
Oh, yeah.
make bad choices when they're sad or scared or stressed. So in this case, she had equated the love that Kimari has for her to be those things of like asking her when she does
Right.
things.
The dependence.
The dependency.
Yeah. Right.
And then when she sees
Yep,
someone
yep.
being interdependent, it's a thing where she doesn't know. She has no grid for this.
Right.
And the fact that Kimari is kind of ditzy, so she didn't notice this, was great because it then required Megu-chan to come up to her and have a reverse confrontation and be like, you must hate me. You have to hate me now because I did all these horrible things to you. And the fact that you... Oh my god, it's so good.
Because here's the thing. I still kind of think that she should have just waited till after the expedition. Basically done that when she got back. Because here's the thing. Because doing it beforehand, I feel like she was still basically, in doing that, trying to ruin it for her.
Yes, she was.
You know,
yes, she was. She doesn't know that fully. Like her emotions are such.
She might not have been aware that that's what she was
doing. But subconsciously, yes, because it's something to add a distress kind of emotional thing that she's giving to her before the trip, so that during the trip she'll be thinking about her rather than enjoying it herself. Which I think the best thing about this, though, is that if she was going on the trip alone, or maybe just with Shirase, it would be very easy for her to think about that.
If she hadn't met all these other friends that help her out with things like that,
she's not going to be held back by that at all because of people like Hinata, who will call her on the BS. And she's like, well, I'm thinking about Megu-chan. There is no one else right now. Be in the moment. Be right here.
Well, and even so,
give her one of her quotes.
Tamari was able to use her own ditziness as a strength here to just be like, I'm just gonna do what I've been doing up till now and just ignore it, you know.
Or like straight up reject the subconscious manipulation and also the self-hatred. Saying that basically Megu-chan saying like, you have to hate me because I hate myself right now.
And she's saying, nope. and what is the opposite of fear? You know,
love.
So she's like, okay, you're scared of losing me, or that you have lost me. So I'm just gonna no.
Yeah, and I love that she didn't explain it in some large wiser beyond her years way. She just goes straight to the point of like, nope, I love you. You're awesome.
Just breakup rejected.
Breakup rejected.
Yeah.
The show understands how to do these characters justice as young girls full of hope and crazy personalities and stuff. But the thing that they do really well is keeping their dialogue simplistic but to the point. One of the things that is very hard for me as a writer to do is to have these conflict resolution moments between characters in dialogue, where the dialogue is something that's so foreign of a style to me, the way I would talk it through, that it actually sounds like it's an individual character. So this show just... Whoever's writing the dialogue in this just deserves like a serious raise, because they're amazing at it.
One of the other things that I thought was really interesting was how they kind of like tonally, like they kind of set the tone on a positive note by showing Yuzuki deleting the two other girls from her contacts list on her phone.
Very apropos
that
for
was
this episode.
Awesome. That was great. I loved it. I'm so happy that they showed that. It was just one of those little things that means so much. But then, of course, they have it on this episode, and you see all this stuff happening, and they don't tell you she's being like, no internal thoughts of Megu-chan as she's like, they're going away, and I hate this, so I'm gonna start, talking about all this stuff. But you just, you pick up on it. And then, of course, later she says like, no, even the telling your mom about it, and telling the other girls about the million yen and stuff. That was all me. It was I, Dio. But
Konu Megoda.
But then it's like, no, you're my friend, and everyone has their rough spots and stuff, and yes, you were a jerk, and I mean, this is me more talking than
right.
But it's like, I love it.
Yeah,
it was so good.
I really love that she didn't make herself late or anything though for Megu-chan. One of the things that was also kind of subconsciously being done by Megu-chan is that by her standing in the way of her path, there's a visual thing that's happening here. Her path had a very linear walls on the side and just, okay, I go forward. in front of her, basically saying you can't go until you get past me, is Megu-chan. And by her doing that, it's more so for her sake, being like, I have to talk to you before you leave. I have to be that final person from your old life, essentially. I mean, let's be real, it's 3 months. For someone this age, 3 months isn't an eternity.
But like, there's also the fact that at this point, this is when, you know, people start deciding who they're going to be in life. And this is something that was a bit different than the status quo up till that point. So she is probably going to come back a very different person.
Very different person, yes.
And, you know, if she had managed to keep her here, then maybe she would have been able to have that person that was always dependent on her, you know. But she didn't, and she wasn't. And now they're off to Antarctica, baby.
Oh man, like just drawing this into kind of real life stuff and things like that. Jacob, you're writing a book right now, and there's a lot of people that you know in your life that talk about writing books. But you know very few people that have actually gone and done the work. And there's a lot of people I know who have come up to you and been like, trying to give you advice on something that's like the Megu-chan advice. You know? And they, most of the time, they don't know they're doing it. They don't.
You know, like
Megu-chan in a way.
Right, exactly.
I mean, it's not as extreme as Megu-chan, but it's something where they don't really know they're doing it.
What's crazy is that you hear stories about, you know, times where it wasn't quite so subtle or so subconscious, you know, like it's I mentioned the tall poppy syndrome thing. It's like where people will get this idea that because you're doing something that is awesome, because they haven't done that or whatever, they're like, no, you shouldn't. They will actively try to tear you down, cut you down, because how dare you, you know, try and do something different.
It's the anime style of how dare you look down on me. It's like, I wasn't looking at you. Like, that's actually the thing that cuts, I'd say, a little bit more deep, is kind of like Megu-chan, is imagine the tall poppy, is you start just going and shooting for the stars and achieving the impossible.
Drill will pierce the heavens.
Yes, and someone looks at this and they feel condescended upon. It's really their own insecurities being projected out and reverberating back towards them.
And kind of beating themselves up for all the times throughout life, because, okay, when someone decides to do something like that, it's not that was the first time they made that decision. It was the first time they decided to say yes and continue saying yes after a whole bunch of times of saying no. And all the people that try to tear you down is because they've never said yes yet. They've been saying no their entire life. Right? So then when they see someone that has actually taken the leap, of course it makes them, you know, uneasy.
Yeah, and it takes a very mature person to be in that state of insecurity, and not just shut up, but like actually like give all the encouragement and all the bolstering you can, despite actually feeling inside like, I feel inadequate. There's something about me that feels off because this person's succeeding so much. I love interacting with people who understand that and stuff. It's so much fun to cheer people on when they're succeeding.
And that's like
no jealousy, no anything, just going for it and stuff. And there's people that's actually part of their life, actually. Is they're just everyone's cheer squad.
They make it their mission to be a speedwagon, basically.
Right, they're a speedwagon. They're the opposite of Megu-chan, and basically they acknowledge like, I have something in me that's holding me back from going after my thing. But maybe if I encourage everyone else enough, I'll find something internally that will bolster me forward to achieve my dreams.
And you can. That's the thing. Yeah. Because like, what's the Iroh quote? You know, sometimes the best way to solve your own problems is to help someone else solve theirs. Right. Yeah. The idea that when you encourage someone else and you believe in them, you start to realize, wait a minute, they're not actually that different from me. Maybe I can believe in myself too.
Right. In a weird sense of it, if we bring up the tall poppy syndrome kind of metaphor here, is that when you encourage someone and they receive the encouragement, at some level, you need to be a peer of theirs in that instance. Now, a lot of times you can be cheering You go, let your drill pierce the heavens. And they'll be like, whoever said that, thank you. Like, thank you so much. That means a lot. And they don't establish a personal connection with you. It's kind of like being at a concert.
Right.
And you see the person on stage and you go, wow, that person's the best. And they go, yeah. And in that moment, you made an emotional connection with them because they responded positively, but they don't know who you are.
Right.
They just know that you are basically
someone that believes in them.
Someone that believes in them, and they believe in the you that believes in them. So, so in that moment, you're not there's no peerage like in the simple is what I'm saying.
Right, yeah.
But there are moments where I have seen this. This is really cool. Is you'll be walking along the street. You'll see someone. I'm using an imaginary setup, but I have seen this happen in real life, just in less detailed, so I don't call it specific people and stuff. But like a person's walking down the street, and this person is like, say, an author.
Sure.
And they're not a celebrity in terms of like everyone knows their face and stuff like that.
Most authors, like, no one knows
who they are and stuff. But someone comes up to them and goes, "Oh my gosh, your book meant so much to me." And they're like, "Oh my gosh, someone's talking to me."
Right.
And they're like, this like, please just do whatever you're doing, keep doing it. And they're like, thank you so much. What was your name?
Right.
And then there's this weird thing that happens where the person who you encouraged, who has meant a lot to you, then sees the opportunity right there and goes, "What's your name? What are you doing right now? What's your dream?" And then they just want to give it back to you double. It's really weird. It's force that works in the universe. I love it. It's so cool.
It's this idea that, like, because like you were talking about the whole idea of like peerage and stuff, is that a lot of times I feel like when the tall poppy thing happens, it's because they have the person has a skewed perspective of what it means to be a peer. That they think it's about whatever your standing is in some area right at this minute. Whereas the people, like the person at the concert who sees the person that says like, "Hey, you're awesome," and they're like, "Yes, thank you." Like, not like, self-aggrandizing, but like, "Thank you, awesome," right?
Yeah.
Is that they, in a lot of ways, they might see that person as a peer, not in necessarily in like some socioeconomic
status or whatever.
No, but the idea that they're another person that's looking up.
Right.
They're not just looking around. Because they're like, where can I go? What can I do? And they see other people that are also looking up, and they're like, "You're looking up. Awesome."
And also the person that is essentially receiving the encouragement in this instance, like the author or the concert person, guaranteed they have their own people that they're doing the same thing to, that they're basically cheering on and basically trying to do what they can to bolster up, because this is how we ultimately, in a lot of ways, it might seem a little bit short-sighted, but it's a lot of ways one of the simplest ways to just lift up the crowd, lift up the large numbers, not the one-to-one, because the one-on-one conversation between, say, the author on the street and the reader is awesome. It's really cool, and that's like one of the instances where I've had just really powerful things happen in my life, is interacting with someone on a one-on-one where encouraging them ended up being a thing where the encouragement came back, not even intentionally, to me in a way that just changed my life forever. So there's that in the one-on-one sense, but there's also the group thing where it chain reacts out to others. By being a person that encourages and lifts up others, even just one, you kind of model that, or provide an example of that to others, and they kind of look at that and go, I like the way that person is doing that. I'm going to incorporate a little bit of that into my own life and my own existence, my own connections and people and stuff. And it just slowly just lifts like everything up. It spreads really fast.
Like, okay, because take this show,
right? It makes me so emotional to think about.
Like we've talked about how Shirase at the beginning was all alone, right? And then all because of her interaction with Kamari, chance encounter, she ends up saying, "Hey, come with me," right? She believes in Kamari. And now suddenly, boom, there's two of them, right? And then there's Hinata, and then there's Yuzuki.
Right.
Now, they're all going and doing the same thing, going to Antarctica.
Yes.
But it could be anything, because people love to have, when, if you're the sum of the 5 people closest to you or whatever, they're the 5 people you spend the most time with. The idea is that if they're looking up, if they're going after something, even if it's not the same thing, you'll start to go after something yourself. You'll find out what it is. In the case of Megu-chan, even though it wasn't the same thing, even though she isn't going to end up going to Antarctica, and even though she had a very negative initial reaction, that caused her to basically take a closer look at herself and be like, okay, where am I? Right? Who am I? Now, apart from Kimari, right? As my own person. And she's probably like, this show probably isn't going to show it. Maybe it will.
And that maybe it will. Amazing. At the end of these 3 months when they come back, Megu-chan will be like, you guys inspired me. Yeah. I went and started doing the thing that I always wanted to do. And now I'm doing it. Like, maybe she's like a month into it at this point. Or maybe she's like actually struggling.
Or like, hey, come join me on this new thing.
Or maybe she's at the point where with Shirase and people are laughing at her.
Oh.
And then the 4 girls come around her and they're like, no, if we can do this, you can do anything.
Right. And that's the idea. And they don't have to show that. But
they don't have to
what
show
they've done here, that's something that is not unlikely to extrapolate from what they've set up. Right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
So, this show is amazing. Madhouse, make more original material.
Please do. This is fantastic. I am really considering just how influential this show is in terms of getting at the inner workings of a person in their formative years discovering their passion, and not even like a life goal passion. I'm meaning like just passion, even. Right. So. Yeah, this is like anime of the year material. Like this is
definitely maybe
really
like,
good. And it's not saying anything about the story, the characters, the visuals, and all the other good stuff.
Because this is episode 5. Like we haven't seen how this story's going to.
We haven't gotten to Antarctica yet.
We haven't even gotten to Antarctica. Like think about that for a second. Right. The whole premise of the story is them going to Antarctica.
Yeah, well, we're still in the going.
We have we've just now gotten to Australia. And they haven't really shown that.
No, not even that.
They're leaving.
They're headed to Tokyo first.
Like, oh, that's right. Yeah, they're going to Tokyo.
They're going to Tokyo, which will then go to Australia.
Right.
So, yeah. And that's actually a thing I'm curious about is how much of this show is going to be en route. Will they time skip it, or will they?
Right, or only like the last 3 episodes going to be Antarctica, or
who knows?
Yeah.
I gotta say. With having the other girls there, when Megu-chan was having the moment of like, oh, people are spreading things, I'm getting like really pissed inside.
Yeah.
Once the other girls showed up, I saw the whole episode like unravel. I'm like, oh,
and then she's like,
I gotta go, and I'm like, no, you stay here. Well, like in that moment, so okay, here was something that was kind of interesting. So, I was talking with someone about our YouTube channel. Oh, and it was kind of one of those moments where I was realizing that I wasn't telling people about the channel like intentionally, and with real life friends and stuff like that, because I didn't want basically to produce any megu-chans.
Gotcha.
And it was in a moment where I just decided it's okay to be confident about it. So I told them about it, and these people responded so positively. It was a really big like turning point for me, because I'm relatively confident in my being just a full on anime fan. Like
but at the same time telling people like, hey, I actually do this on the internet, and that's like how I make a living now.
Well, that's like the main thing I'm going for right now. There's a lot of people that were like, hey, like what are the things you're going after right now? And I was like, well, and I was in my head, I'm like, don't tell them. But I feel like in some small way, I don't think this show is responsible for that. But I had kind of a moment where I wish I had, I mean, you weren't there, of course, but like I wish I had in that moment a Hinata, Shirase kind of persons or so near me to be like, yeah, we're going to Antarctica, you know?
Right.
And I didn't need that, because I just happened to find some awesome people who were really mature and were like, oh my gosh, that's so awesome. Yeah. And they have no interest in anime. Right. Like these people, they were like, yeah, like anime's cool. Like, not for me, but like that's totally cool, dude. And like it was a weird moment where I felt like by talking about it outside that, it would be like how Megu-chan perceived it with her false rumors and stuff.
Gotcha.
I mean, she did spread those rumors, but the false reception of what other people would think, meaning that they go, "Oh, you're showing off," or you're being too cocky or full of yourself. When in actuality, guys, like, while tall poppy syndrome is a very real thing, imposter syndrome is a very real thing. Where you basically see something happening positively for you, and you don't feel like you deserve it.
Right.
So you don't actually end up speaking confidently about it. You don't talk really about it with people in general. And that's just something I've been kind of getting over and stuff. So I love that this show brought up kind of both sides of it without even really intending to. Specifically for me, so good stuff. This show's fantastic.
This episode was like really dang good, and then the thing is, like, okay, these episodes will, we'll watch these episodes.
They'll just get better and better,
and we'll be like, oh my gosh, this episode is so good. And even if this wasn't necessarily like my favorite, I think episode 3 might be my favorite right now.
3 is still my favorite.
But like, they're all so good, and you're just wondering, how can this continue?
Man. I'm very confident in that we have not seen the best episode yet, because when you think about,
which is crazy to think about.
Well, right, but when you think about how each of the 4 girls has their own specific kind of motivations that are loosely, brought up on a consistent basis, not really brought up all the time, but when all 4 of them kind of have that moment where they're standing like on a horizon, maybe in Antarctica, and they're like, guys, do you realize what this means? Like,
we're here.
What this means is like when they're leaving, like when they're realizing, wow, we did this, and then like Hinata's gonna say, like, guys, we can do anything. Like, we went to Antarctica.
What are we gonna do next?
What are we gonna do next?
Yeah.
It's there's this feeling you get, and I can just tell this is gonna get brought up at some point, because they brought up this, and I was like, so good. Is that when you push your limits and you extend past what's comfortable and all that, you end up getting addicted to that. You end up getting like almost a high from the bold adventure thrill seeking of it. Not the thrill seeking of like, oh cool, I jumped into there is actually a thrill seeking aspect of it.
But it's the idea that, like, because, okay, like, before we started the YouTube channel, right? If we had thought about, like, oh, let's do a YouTube channel and, and turn it into some big thing, we'd be like, yeah, there's no way we can do that. Right? But then it started happening, and then we're like, well, wait a minute. Maybe all those things that we think are impossible and that we say to ourselves are impossible really aren't at all.
Or they're just, they're sitting behind basically some fear and discomfort. And, while they might not be something that happens, you could go into it and still just, it wouldn't work. The idea is that the only real thing separating you finding out whether or not it's possible, because stating that all these things are impossible, generally you're going to run into an instance where you're wrong. Like, if we just play the
large numbers
here, eventually you're going to be wrong. A lot of them you might be right. But the thing is that the actual thing separating the answer from you is just some fear and discomfort.
Right.
And maybe some hard work. But the main thing is that most people don't go past those things to find out whether or not something is possible.
And I think that's why things like Gurren Lagann and stuff can be such big hits and resonate with us so deeply, because it touches on those concepts and everything. But at the same time, that's with mechs inside of mechs inside of mechs inside of mechs in some sci-fi universe where galaxies are chucked around, right?
So you can kind of rationalize it in your head and as say, being not real.
That's just dumb anime. That's not realistic. But then there's things like
this where it tries to get as close to realistic as possible for the main purpose of getting the actual themes and medium of the message of the story across, and any barriers that might have been there. If you were watching, say, something like Gurren Lagann.
And even if there are some convenient things that happen in this show, like the, finding the million yen that gets dropped, or running into the, random idol that can get you on the boat, but those, luck favors the prepared. Yeah. Those kinds of things still happen in real life, and they might just look a bit different.
Right.
But they happen after the person's prepared and done all that stuff.
Yeah, I think we can't discount what Shirase means to this whole expedition, though, because in a lot of ways, Kimari being the main character can distract us from the fact that Shirase slaved away for tons of time alone, trying to make this whole thing work. And she did not have any success during that time.
Everyone ridiculed her.
It wasn't until basically some kind of random luck, X Factor, ridiculous, silly thing happened that, boom, everything clicked all of a sudden, and they're going.
Right. But she was prepared. Megu-chan, even though Kimari can say, come with us to Antarctica, realistically, she won't be able to go. Not this time, because she's not prepared for it.
Yeah, definitely not. Yeah.
So, it's,
Oh, guys,
this show is amazing.
This show is fantastic. So we are loving it so much. I am getting emotional in like all the right ways for this. I can't wait for our girls to go to Antarctica and
gonna be so good.
Just to have the best time. Yeah. But guys, if you want to watch the next episode's reaction right now, go check out that link in the description below for our Patreon. You can get on early access there.
Yes.
You can watch full-length reactions there, and all this comes with Discord access. You can chat with us about whatever. And if any of that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all next time.